Aqib Talib went on with Kay Adams and praised Brandon Aiyuk, which was great to hear. But then kind of took a side swipe at Brock Purdy. I mean, it's funny. These things never end. Let's share the screen here. This should be good. This is Kay Adams with oh, here we go. I've got this from here we go. It's Kay Adams here with Aqib Talib.
He's probably my top 3 receivers right now. If you get him.
Hold on a second. Hold on, Aqib. Bring it on back. Bring it on back. Here we go. We get it from the start. Aqib Talib, the former Kansas Jayhawk, who ran a little hot in his day, played with the Patriots. Great player, outspoken football man. Here he is.
Aiyuk is emerging. I think he's probably my top 3 receivers right now. If you get him with a real quarterback, he can go crazy.
Brandon Aiyuk is your top 3 receiver?
Man, he's just I don't really go off the stats. I go off the player and his body control, his routes, his hands, his speed. He can easily be a top receiver in the league. If you put him on a team and you make him the focal guy, he'll go crazy. Aiyuk is emerging. I think he's probably my top 3 receivers right now. If you get him with a real quarterback, he can go crazy.
You get him with a real quarterback? What's up with the real quarterback?
Yeah, I think
you get him with a real quarterback. I mean, what? Brock Purdy should just be like, hey, Aqib Talib, fuck off. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I mean, he always takes it in stride, and it doesn't really mean anything. But I mean, it's like, if this guy were, I mean, why is this guy so disrespected? He's the exact same size as Jalen Hurts. He's Jalen Hurts. He's 6 feet, 6'1", pretty athletic, tough, leader, man of faith, quiet, but serious, a real leader. I mean, in a lot of ways, he's so similar to Jalen Hurts. I think he's better than Hurts, to be honest. But
I agree.
He's very similar to Jalen Hurts. You don't see all these people like openly questioning Jalen Hurts all the time, but Purdy, it's like, dude, what do you need to see? The guy, the first year he came off the bench, he ran the table and he won all his playoff games until he got knocked out. The next year he goes to the Super Bowl and they lose to Mahomes. The guy's lost 2 playoff games. One was the Eagle game. He was in there for 6 plays. The other was the Super Bowl to Mahomes. Other than that, he's 17-4 in the regular season. Other than that, those 2 games, he's won every playoff game he's ever started. What are we talking about?
I think the thing with Purdy, a few things. His college tape wasn't great, and so people go back to that. And they go back to the fact that he was drafted late. And people can't get over that. And they're like, well, if that was the case, then he's not good. Like, I think people are just obsessed with that. I think another thing is, like, his vibe. Like, it would be, honestly, when he's on the field, he's got that, like, he's got juice. Like, you see him, he gets hyped up. But I think when he gets paid, I would like to see if Purdy starts talking a little bit of shit. I don't know if that's in his character, but I think, like, you get, like a $55 million a year contract, he might open up a little bit more. I think that sort of, he comes off a little bit like like a choir boy, something like that. Like, he's so buttoned up. He just wears like a standard, cheap shirt to every game. Looks like he's, going to study. I think
he's getting dressed at Kohl's or TJ Maxx.
Right. And he will probably get sponsored by them at some point, which would be incredible. But I think that's part of it, like Hurts has like a very clear swag. Like, he's a dude who's, led the Eagles. They also had a bad offense and he had to carry them in certain respects. I don't think he reads the game all that well, but like, he's got a swag to him that's very clear. Purdy, he just doesn't have that same energy, just a quiet little dude, quiet man of faith, and And I think part of that, and the fact that his draft stock and his valuation, his college tape wasn't that great, is people just like can't buy into it because he doesn't have elite measurables. And I think there is genuinely like sort of a fetishization of like people having elite arm talent. And if you don't have elite arm talent, you can't be a good quarterback, which is not true. It's much harder to thread the needle that Purdy's threading, right? To be a great quarterback, relying on processing, kind of like Drew Brees, where you're not this great freak athlete, but you know where the ball should go. You understand timing. You have place and you have functional arm talent. I think he doesn't quite get the credit he deserves for his like short area burst, like his pocket presence and ability to like feel pressure, spin off it, and find space is something that I think elevates him from just, the little game manager or whatever people think he is. Like that is very real. It's a very legitimate skill. And it's why he is a great quarterback, because he's not just standing in the pocket and relying on, just timing like Jimmy did. He can escape. He can buy time. He has that ability. But again, it's not a rocket. He's not throwing it like Justin Herbert. He doesn't have that same crazy skill set. And so because of that, because of all the things I just mentioned, I think people will forever have a hard time, fully buying into Purdy, and will kind of hope and wait for the wheels to come off. And I'm not sure they will.
He's a very interesting player, isn't he? He's really one of the most interesting players. I mean, drafted last, been to a Super Bowl, been to 2 NFC championship games. I was looking at some of the Warren Sharp stats getting ready for this season this last weekend. Warren Sharp ranks the Niners offensive line 17th in the NFL. So, let's just take that as fact. So now not only is Brock Purdy has some of the best stats in the league, he's got some of the best stats in the league, operating behind one of the worst lines in the league. I thought it was really interesting too. The couple stats that really jumped out. Warren Sharp had the list of the teams in the league that had the most and the least offensive plays that gained 30 plus yards last year. The Niners had the most in the entire league with 36. Green Bay was second with 33. Carolina was last with 12. 12. That's just absolutely unbelievable. So, Purdy's an amazing, he's done an amazing job. The other stat that I thought was interesting, pass rate inside the 10-yard line. Warren Sharp had it. The Jets, just how bad Hackett is. The Jets, despite losing Aaron Rodgers, passed the ball inside the 10 last year 73% of the time, far and away the most in the league. You wonder why people are like, Hackett's a moron. The Niners, very run heavy. The Niners passed 37% of the time inside the 10. And that was, where did that rank? That was ranked almost in the bottom of the league. Philly, of course, runs the ball tons inside the 10, and they passed the ball only 26% of the time inside the 10-yard line. I thought that was kind of interesting. The other one that jumped out was the Warren Sharp stat on completion percentage on passes of 20 plus yards. Brock freaking Purdy, the quarterback that many were calling dink and dunk, 55% completion percentage on passes of 20 plus yards downfield, number 1 in the NFL by a wide freaking margin. And to put that in perspective, he's got 55% on passes 20 plus yards down the field. You think of Jalen Hurts, he's at 32%. Lamar Jackson at 32%. Patrick Mahomes at 28%. Mac Jones was the lowest in the league at 8%. But Purdy, number 1 in the NFL. Number 1 completion percentage on passes of 20 plus yards. So in a lot of ways, nobody sees it. People still to this day, they just don't see it with Brock Purdy. Jake, I got one last Niner question, and then I got 2 last ones for you, and then we'll jet. Let's talk Purdy for a second. He does look great. And there were people that said he couldn't get better from year 1 to year 2, which was just preposterous. And there's people that have made that same claim this year. I can't get better. this is his first off season where he gets field reps and, he gets, film reps inside, and then he can take it to the field and he can do film reps and field reps, I should say, with his receivers. And you can see he's in a good rhythm already with Cowing, and you could see it at the end of the minicamp. He was in a good rhythm with Pearsall already. I think Brock Purdy's bigger, stronger, smarter, in better lockstep with his receivers. I think he's almost guaranteed to have a better year. But if he has a better year, what are we talking about? 4,000 yards, 30 plus touchdowns, less than 10 picks, maybe winning the MVP, maybe going to the Super Bowl. But I think he's going to have a huge year.